I'm not somebody who will provide entertainment coming from me as an individual. I will provide it coming from me as a musician or as a DJ. And for me, the best situation to play in is where there's hardly any lights on the DJ and the lights are on the dance floor. Because for me, since I've been going out late 80s, that was always what it was about. It was about people coming together on a dance floor, and the DJ was actually, it was important, but it was not that important so you would see the DJ. That was never a big thing for me, and it still isn't. I actually like people not to look at me. For me, the ideal dance floor situation is to have all the lights out and people enclosed within themselves or with themselves, alongside themselves, whatever, but not facing the DJ. I think that's something that we're not going for that. That's a rock thing. And again, I like rock music and I like to watch a band play, but that's not what I do. I grew up in Antwerp, which is northern part of Belgium. Yeah, middle-class family, very supportive parents. There was always music in our house. That's something I always remember. There was always a radio, there was a big record collection, and I had access to all that. So, and my parents always encouraged me to study music. You know, I remember from the day I saw the Belgian band Telex on television. They were actually participating in the Eurovision Song Contest. And they were actually the only band ever to bring a song that was completely composed with synthesizers. And I'm talking about like early 80s probably. A complete shock to the whole audience and the rest of Europe. They wanted to actually end last, that was their goal. But they didn't make it, they made it second last, so they were kind of disappointed. But I saw those guys on television and I remember saying to my mother, like, that's what I want to do.
L'heure du langage de la communication audio-vidéo. Voici Telex.
Bon, messieurs,
I remember being attracted by the synth sound of this thing, and that happened over and over again. I was attracted to that kind of pop music that had a synthesizer in there somewhere, and then later on you had Depeche Mode, and you know. But I was always going for that kind of sound. So that's the memory I have when it comes to sounds. I was interested in music that had some electronic element in it. Where I come from is mostly like an underground warehouse scene that was very active in mid-90s in Brussels. We would play techno at quite a fast pace, but it was mostly influenced by American techno. Me personally, back then, around 2000, I got a bit bored with techno. I found myself not being able to buy one single record in the record store, and as a result, I gave up mixing techno. I stopped completely. I don't remember it so much in terms of DJ sets, but I remember it in terms of going to the record store, listening to records and thinking this all sounds the same. And there was like a big wave of artists who were trying to imitate what Jeff Mills was doing with the Purpose Maker series. Like this loopy, percussive, really inventive techno. And we were all buying the Purpose Maker series. I remember like when a new Purpose Maker record was out in the shops or a new Axis record was out in the shops, everybody would buy that. But then a year or 2 years later, we kept hearing all these copies coming from all over Europe. So I think it's kind of, I can't really put any names to it, but it was kind of a European thing to milk the cow a bit too much, I think. And that's where I lost interest. And funnily enough, my interest came back because of techno from Europe that over the course of the years had changed into something else and was, to my ears, fresh again. So it's kind of weird. I got put off by Europeans, and then Europe kind of sucked me back into it. I've moved out of Brussels last year, and the entropic part probably refers to how I perceive the city at the last part of my life there. There is a tendency all over Europe in the capitals towards entropy. There's more and more people being stuffed together, rental prices are going up, life is getting more and more difficult, people are, because of that, becoming more aggressive, there's more frustration, etc., etc. So I wanted to get out of there and find a place where there was literally more space. I think in Germany there is more a approach towards supporting the local scene, which I think is very important and is something I've always tried to do in Brussels by supporting local artists. And I think the reason why electronic dance music or electronic music in general in Germany is so strong is because they very much believe in their own artists and they support their own people. And thereby it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you give your own artists work or opportunities to play, they will develop themselves. If they develop themselves, they will make interesting music. Interesting music will be sold to people, and then the whole thing just starts again, because that will infuse money into the scene. And what you see, for instance, in Berlin is that because of this mechanism, yeah, it's become almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The machine just goes on and on because it supports itself. It doesn't look necessarily towards the outside. It looks around and says, okay, what do we have here? What can we work with here? And let's do something with that and slowly build it up. And that's what I found there. And that's what I think is interesting. That's the kind of scene that I would like to be involved in.